And green is my favorite color. That was pretty gross. Pardon. That was unpleasant.
Hey, it's Sue.
And Megan in the restricted section.
Today we're going to film our TBR for the Cramathon.
Cramathon. We're going to cram it in. Right on in.
So this is taking place from June 10th to the 17th. There's 4 hosts,
yes,
I do believe. And they are Julia Sapphire.
And there's Allie from Hardback Hoarder.
Dylan from Dylan the Reader 5.
And Jay from The Awkward Bookworm.
So we'll link all their stuff below. And there's 7 challenges, but before we talk about those, let's talk about our beer.
Let's talk about our beer.
This is Level 2 Fall Risk from the Campus Works series.
And if you drink too many of these, you might be a level 2 fall risk.
Well, actually I was reading about, like, it's actually about the brewer.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, who, like, was a fall risk. Like,
had a bracelet,
yeah.
a fall risk bracelet.
But this is an Imperial India Pale Ale, and it says it's brewed with orange blossom honey.
Yeah, so we're gonna give this a go. Cheers. That's interesting.
It doesn't taste very IPA-y to me.
Mm-mm. But
it's not bad, though.
No, it's not bad. We did
just drink that Sculpin, yeah.
Mm-hmm, that Sculpin, so maybe...
Let's give it a minute. I don't dislike it, but it doesn't seem
super
IPA-ish.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I could kind of taste that, like, honey at the end, though, I think. Alright, so let's get into these challenges. The first challenge is a predicted 5-star book.
So for this, I plan to read Wild Seed by Octavia Butler, which is the first book in a series of hers, and this is, I think, one of the last things of hers I have left to read. I think there's a few other maybe outliers I have that I don't own.
Yeah.
But I'm approaching the end of her
that's
work.
The last. I still have to read that series plus the Parable of the Sower/Talents duology. So I'm a little behind, but I thought about doing Octavia Butler for that challenge, but I just finished Fletchling, so I thought I'd take a bit of an Octavia Butler break.
It's called the Patternist series, and it takes place in ancient Africa, where a female demigod of nurture and fertility mates with a powerful, destructive male entity. So together they birth a race of madmen, visionaries, and psychics who cling to civilization's margins and back alleys for millennia.
Ooh, sounds cool.
Sounds awesome. So that's my predicted 5-star book.
So for mine, I chose The Power by Naomi Alderman. And I believe this is about, it's like a dystopian or maybe utopian, depending on who you
How
are.
you want to look at it.
But I believe that like teenage girls begin to get these physical powers where they can cause agonizing pain and death with just a flick of their fingers. So it flips the power dynamic. So females are much more powerful than men now physically. And then I think that translates to other forms of
power as well.
So it sounds like a really interesting concept. I've mostly heard really good things about it, and I think I'm going to really enjoy it. And it looks kind of large, but the font in here is pretty big, so I think it'll be okay for a readathon.
Yeah. God, can you imagine, like, as a 15-year-old girl,
suddenly being able to
cause
be like,
agonizing pain?
What's that X-Men who touches people and they
Rogue.
die? Rogue, yeah, be like that.
I was a hormonal hot mess. I would have been like, you're dead, and you're dead, and you're dead. Pain for you and pain for you. So the second challenge is a book that is out of your comfort zone.
So for this, I went with a book of poetry because I do not read much poetry at all, and I'm definitely not like super comfortable reading poetry. But I have Old Possum's book of Practical Cats by T.S. Eliot. And it's a pretty short little book of poetry. It has illustrations in it as well by Edward Gorey. And Valentina from Valentina Garcia, she actually sent this to me for Christmas because we did a little like Secret Santa thing, and she got my name. And so thank you very much for that. I actually had seen her talk about this on her channel and thought it looked really cool. So
that's awesome.
I was really excited that she sent it to me.
And
I love
cats.
Are
so fancy.
Yeah, I love cats. So obviously I'm gonna enjoy it. But yeah, I thought it'd be a good one to just kind of read, like, you know, maybe 2 or 3 poems a day throughout the readathon, and I could have it done by the end of the week. And you know, love cats, love men who love cats. So
some of the best advice I've ever received.
Yeah. I don't know if I've ever read T.S. Eliot besides like that, his one famous poem that's like J. Alfred Prufrock. Is that what it's called?
I know what you're talking about because we had to read it in school.
Yeah, I think I had to read it in school too. It always also makes me think of the Crash Test Dummies because they have the song Afternoons and Coffee Spoons is about that poem, I think, or just T.S. Eliot because he's like, afternoon should be measured with coffee spoons and T.S. Eliot.
Oh, the Crash Test Dummies.
Yep.
So for this one, I have chosen Sanctuary by Rebecca Weatherspoon, which is the second book in the Beards and Bondage series that I started reading. And I liked the first one. I read Haven and I liked it. I don't read romance. It's not really my cup of tea.
And it's like bondage.
It's bondage, man. It's like
BDSM romance.
It's legit, like trussed up, butt plug, all kinds of just craziness. So,
who doesn't love a butt plug?
If you do, then good for you. But like, I can't say it's my thing. So, go get you some if that's what you're into.
So the third challenge is a book that has been on your TBR a long time.
And for this, I'm looking at my Kindle because I don't have it in hard copy. I'm going to read The Princess Diarist by Carrie Fisher. I bought that right after Carrie Fisher passed away, and I've been meaning to read it, and I haven't yet. I read Wishful Drinking by Carrie Fisher, which was very entertaining. And so I'm sure The Princess Diarist will be the same.
And I chose Firestarter by Stephen King because I have had this book since middle school. I'm pretty sure, because it was deleted from my middle school library, so I'm assuming that's when I got it. I don't remember for
It
sure.
has library dressings upon it.
And it's very, it's been through some shit. It's been read by many, grubby-handed middle schoolers. But this is, I believe, about a little girl who has pyrokinetic powers.
Can I see the back there for a second? Oh yeah, look at Stephen King's eyes there.
Oh yeah, some little punk-ass kid poked holes in his eyeballs. Can you see that?
Sorry, Stephen King.
I never noticed that before.
Got holes in your eyeballs now. I was like, are his eyes orange? Like, what's going on with his eyes?
But this will only be the second Stephen King book ever that I shall read.
Aha.
I've only ever read Misery, and I liked it, so hopefully I'll like that one. Although I've heard, not as good things about this one in general, but...
Well, hopefully it's still fairly awesome.
Yeah.
So the next challenge is a book that is LGBTQ+, Own Voices. Yay, Pride Month.
Yeah, June is Pride
Month.
So, yay. But I went with, sadly, I think this is one of only 2 LGBTQ+ Own Voices books that I had on my shelves, and I've been trying to read my shelves, but I have The Color Purple by Alice Walker, which I actually didn't even realize was an Own Voices LGBTQ.
I didn't either. Yeah, I had no idea.
Until I was looking at lists of books that would fit this category, but I actually don't know a whole ton about this. I think it's about a woman who is married, and then her husband's lover kind of opens up a whole new world to her. Somehow her husband's lover, who is a flamboyant blues singer, So, yeah, and I do believe that, like, the protagonist in this story has a relationship with a woman. And apparently, so did Alice Walker. So,
Yeah. With, what did you say, Tracy Chapman?
yeah, Tracy
Yeah.
Chapman, I believe.
Interesting. So for this, I am planning to read She's Not There, Life in Two Genders by Jennifer Finney Boylan. This is a memoir of Jennifer's experience as a trans woman. And I read a book by her. She wrote that mystery book that I read.
Yeah, what was it called?
Oh, shoot.
Long
Black Veil?
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
something with black in it.
Something black in it. It was Long Black Veil, and I really loved it. Like, that was a really good book, and I don't usually like mystery, so
Yeah.
it was a great book. But this, I've been meaning to read this for quite a while, so I'm really excited to give it a go.
And the next challenge is to read something that is not standard, i.e. graphic novel, audiobook, comic, novella, poetry, etc.
And for this, I have this, like, cool little mini-series. It's a 3-issue mini-series of John Carpenter's Tales of Science Fiction. And
Is that like John Carpenter, like Halloween John Carpenter?
I believe so. Yes. And so there's 3 issues here. I don't know if you can see the art on the front, but it looks really cool. This will also accomplish one of my challenges for the Read Harder challenge, which is to read a book that, or read a comic that's not published by like Marvel, DC, or Image, because this is published by Storm King Comics.
And I also chose a comic book, and I'm planning to read issue 2 of Charlie, which is a comic book that my friend co-wrote. And I read the first issue last year, and it's set in this like dystopian world where these aliens, these like bull-like aliens, have taken over half of the United States. And the main character is Charlie, who is a cyborg who is tasked with patrolling the border, I think it was, of this area, because there's like half the U.S. is populated with, or half of North America maybe, populated with these aliens, and then the other half is still humans. But, yeah, I've been wanting to pick this up, but I don't know why I haven't yet. Yeah, so I'm excited to get back into that, and this will also complete that same challenge for the Read Harder challenge, because this is like an independently published comic, so...
Very cool.
Yeah. Or I could also, I think, count it... Well, I already did one for that. I was going to say I could count it for a comic book written or illustrated by a person of color, because I believe the illustrator for this comic is a person of color, but I counted the Kindred graphic novel for that, so...
Very cool.
Okay, so the next challenge is to read a book that has your favorite color on the cover.
And for that, this is the same bind-up as Wild Seed, but the next book in the series is Mind of My Mind. But yeah, green is my favorite color. So the second book of the series is also in the same bind-up, so I'll probably just read that, because I'm sure that once I read the first book, I'm going to want to read the second.
Yeah. And my favorite color is also green. But I chose this book I just recently got at the Books in Bloom Festival in Eureka Springs, and that is Afterlife by Marcus Saki. And this is like an action / kind of sci-fi novel, I think.
Yeah. It's like once you die, like there's the afterlife is kind of a battle. And so
Maybe it's more like fantasy then? I don't know.
yeah, the 2 main characters have a love story, and they are trying to get back to each other, but
Yeah.
one of them is dead.
Yeah, it sounds really interesting though.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm hoping it'll be good.
Yeah.
And I think it'll probably be like a quick, fast-paced.
Page Tana.
Page Tana.
Page Tana. And the last challenge is to read 7 books, which...
So, my 7th book that I chose is one that I've like really been wanting to read, so I'm gonna have to, it sucks because I kind of want to read it first, but it will fulfill literally no other challenge, so it would not be wise for me to read it first. But I got this recently at the library sale, the last library sale, and that is The Deep Sea Diver Syndrome by Serge Brusolo. And I don't know why, but this book has just been calling to me lately. And it will actually fulfill a read harder challenge because it's a book of genre fiction in translation, because this is translated from French by Edward Gauvin. Gauvin. And this is about a guy who is a lucid dreamer, and he dreams that he is a jewel thief, I believe, but he's like a professional dreamer. So these professional dreamers dive into the dream world to retrieve items that convert to valuable artworks in the waking world. So it sounds like an interesting concept.
Yeah.
And it's fairly short, so I think it would probably be a pretty quick read.
That sounds good. And for my 7th book, if I get there, which we'll see, I have The Secret Garden by Frances Hodgson Burnett, because this is my book for the Read Harder Challenge, to read a children's novel published before 1980. I liked this book a lot when I was a kid, and so
I loved that book when I was a kid too.
I haven't read it since.
Me either. So that's our TBR for the Cramathon.
Yeah.
If you guys are participating, let us know. Let us know what you're reading.
Yeah, and if you're not, then maybe consider it. Seems like a good readathon.
Maybe consider it.
We like a good readathon.
Yeah, we love a readathon. Alright, so this beer,
It's okay.
yeah, it's okay. Yeah, like I don't love it. It just tastes like a standard IPA to me.
Yeah, it's fairly.
Nothing really special about it.
No, it's okay.
It doesn't even really taste imperial.
No, it doesn't.
Could be dangerous.
Could be.
It's only 8.7, which isn't too bad.
No, not for an imperial.
8.7%.
Percent ABV.
Yeah, but this is Public House Brewing is in St. James, Missouri, so it's not too far from here. Like a hour and a half or so.
Yeah.
2 hours maybe. They also have there's a winery in St. James that's pretty popular. Yeah, it's called just St. James Winery, isn't it? Very clever name.
Super clever.
Yeah, but this is alright. I don't feel like the Public House beers that I've tried have been that great in general.
They've been okay. They haven't been wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's it for us.
There will be some links down below where you can find us elsewhere on the internet.
If you haven't subscribed yet, please do.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.